we really believe that the strength of every community lies in the hands and the hearts of the people who live there. And no one disagrees with that. And this program is based on three powerful principles: involve everyone, focus on what matters most, and then play the long game. Well, again, no one's going to disagree with those things. These are really, really, and I don't mean they're generic statements. I mean, they're very specific, but they're easy to call people to. And the one that brings, unpack them a little, involve everyone, I think is a great idea. And I, partially because of my history and serving in the church, I think it's really difficult to involve people who don't feel included.
Right.
And people who don't feel included usually just need to be invited. So when you'll see, we've got a YouTube channel and Facebook page and an Instagram channel. And when I'm making these videos to put on there, when I watch them back, sometimes instead of saying involve everyone, I say include everyone. Well, because I don't think people are going to feel involved if they don't feel included. And so for me, it's really trying to take the message and put handles on it. So then you can invite people that you know that I don't know. And in my mind, it's like a farm table, just like this. And we just keep pulling up chairs because we're having conversations. And what I know about Duncan is there's a high portion of our population who doesn't feel like they've been invited to the table, whether they've been invited or they got an engraved invitation or not. They haven't felt invited. So what I want us to do is I want us to make sure that we're inviting people from all these different places. So Tuesday, what we did is we had this great day of meetings, and it's not everybody's love language, right? But we had this great day of conversations where I shared that kind of elevator pitch. And then one for faith-based leaders, one for nonprofit leaders, one for the medical community, one for the business community, one for education community. And then we had those at the wonderful garden ballroom, which is the third floor. And that's where my daughter, that's where Rayleigh and Aideen's wedding reception was. So we got to see that. It was really great. So we had 5 of those back to back to back to back to back. And my pitch was, well, I mean, I'm not serving you lunch, but you can buy the best salad in town, just right down those stairs, right? And so it was a good thing for Thinkability Cafe, because we were going to be there, the Garden Cafe there, because we were going to be there anyway. And they were fabulous. Robin and her team, Chris Cody and his team, and the kid, they were amazing, and they always are. There again, I think it's one of our newest best kept secrets of Duncan. And so anything I can do, in leadership, I think a lot of times we focus on trying to find the spotlight and then run towards it. And I think instead of trying to run towards the spotlight, let's try to be the spotlight. And when we see somebody doing good, let's shout them out on Facebook, on Instagram, social media, but in person as well. And for me, I think one of I said before, I believe 4 is one of the most powerful 3-letter words in the English language, but it's one that most people are forfeiting because it's so much more difficult, especially with people, because it's not all black and white. There's a lot of gray. And in leadership, sometimes we try to lead towards agreement, but I don't even agree with the guy in the mirror all the time. How am I going to lead everybody to agree? But I think a better swap is to lead towards alignment. And so when we come out with this elevator pitch of these 3 powerful principles: involve everyone, focus on what matters most, and then play the long game, then I think it's an easier pivot back to say, okay, I understand you're frustrated about this thing, whatever the thing is. And I don't want to be the king of the yeah buts. That's how you know by what you're against. Yeah, but it's not as bad as it used to be, or it's not as bad as it could be. I want people to get a chance to say what they want to say so they can feel heard. And then it's a yes and.
So let me ask you a question. On Tuesday, were there opportunities for, I'm sure there were questions, but was this more of a, here's the information, ponder this, we're going to get back together? Or was it a time for feedback?
It was more the first thing.
Okay.
It was more that this is the information. We're for sure going to have some follow-up meetings. We're going to have another day just like that. And the day even started earlier than that. 11 o'clock meeting with the education team because I invited the 60 and up to Jimmy's Egg because, oh, I mean, it's at Jimmy's Egg, right? And so everybody knows that, but also I know there's a bunch of stuff I don't know about 60 plus, but I do know that there are some people that would want to attend a conversation like that, but when they hear it's on the 3rd floor, they would say, well, I'll just have to catch the replay.
Yeah.
So to go to a place like that there's an on-ramp, really.
Right.
That's one of the reasons that I chose that place. And so we had
they had that big room at the back and all that, right?
And in the same way that the good folks at the market ballroom were great, the garden ballroom were great. At least I can call it the thing that used to be called. At the garden ballroom were great hosts, right? So they were great, but also the folks at Jimmy's Egg, like I called and said, I'd love to reserve this for, I think it was 2.5 weeks out. I said, oh, that'd be great. And we'll give you as much time as you want. And when we got there, the wait staff was very attentive and all that stuff too. So it was great. The conversations were intimate. They were small in number, and that's okay. In fact, it was great because I got to have some conversations with people that even though I've been here for 96, over 100 months now, over 8.5 years, I still hadn't had conversations with them. And they got a chance to say, oh, so that's what this thing's about. I've heard what it's about. And yeah, that's what it's about. And then I asked the question, who do you know that I need to know? Who do you know that needs to be part of this conversation? So in the 60 and up community, because what I know is a lot of times when we talk about community development or community improvement, some folks, and I don't know where the age limit is, but some folks say, well, that sounds like it's more for someone else. It sounds like it's more for the kids and the grandkids. And it's a yes and. It's you're like, that's why it's a resident driven program. This is for the people, by the people here. And I want to make sure that we know what they know that we need to know.
Right. Well, I was just going to say, I haven't seen numbers or anything, but I feel like Duncan has become a little bit of a retirement community. I mean, I talked to people who have retired and moved back to Duncan, or they came here from another state. And I'm like, why did you pick Duncan?
Right.
I mean, let's look at the map.
Right.
Why did you pick Duncan? And so I think that is a very important part of the community to include and to even consider. What does that look like as a retirement, the retired sector of our community, you know, and what needs do they have? That's a very important thing to look at.